Okay, my dear. So welcome. Good to be with you today. Thank you for your work and being here ahead of time. It's always good.
And thank you so much for offering this.
Yeah, you're very welcome. So we just begin, see what's on your mind and where we go. We'll just travel.
So a few things, I was sitting here thinking about what maybe disturbs me the most, what thoughts disturb me the most, what stories. But when I woke up this morning, I got dressed and I was walking around the house and I just felt good. I felt grateful, and it's a beautiful fall and the house is clean, and we have I have a friend that I hire that organizes things, and she just organized the pantry and the refrigerator. So you open them up and they look so nice and organized in little containers. And it's been a beautiful fall. And I've been feeling more peaceful, I realized, in thinking about it. I'm still eating. I'm still overeating, but I am feeling more peaceful. And so this morning I got this thought as I was walking around, like, I feel good, yet there's a fear behind it, or it, and I was trying to figure out what it was. Is it that I haven't deserved it, or is it that it might not last? Maybe it's a little of both.
Sometimes that, yes.
Yeah.
Probably true.
And wondering why I'm eating all the time anyway. I mean, when I'm feeling good or when I'm not feeling good. But so I didn't know whether it would be good to explore that.
Well,
I'm sorry.
I love the noticing of there's a little dog there. It's okay. Just watching mind do what it does and wonder about it. And a sense of things being relaxed and peaceful, and knowing, being in touch with that. And just seeing when there almost has to be a thought about eating to eat, right? You have to be like, I want to eat something to eat. So, but it can be very habitual.
Hold on one second. I'm going to put the dog outside the door.
Okay. All right. I love that we just know what to do. You just get up.
Unless he starts howling.
Yeah. Yeah. It's okay. I mean, even that, like, that's a sweet moment. It's kind of seeing you just know how to respond to the moment. It's just what happens. Like, I'm going to put the dog out and off. You didn't plan it. And there's no stress about it. And it's something that comes to mind, and you just sort of follow. It's easy. And I do think it's sometimes there's thoughts like, what it's like, if I'm at peace and I'm not stressed about things, and I get if I work out all my problems that I've ever had in my mind and my psyche, then I won't be eating. And I like just coming back to what's odd is, I need to know why I ever was eating and why I eating, even though I know sometimes we look at it, there's mind having thoughts about, wow, you got, like, this is what mine says to me, you got really stressed out about trying to make sure you had the right body shape and size, and like focused in on that perfect number. And that got really hyper, nutso all those years ago. And then I couldn't let it go. And something was really going on there. And maybe it seems to be the case. And as I let go of that, actually eating food is more relaxing and all that stuff. So, it's interesting to see the waves of it where there's a tie. And sometimes it's just, I think it is so habitual. Like, it's also noticing that the mind saying, oh, and it's necessary to figure out whatever's going on so that you just don't eat. Like watching the wave of an eating motion. So did you eat in the, like, even though you were noticing everything was good and you felt really relaxed, then there's a thought, let's get something to eat. Is that how it looks?
No, I didn't feel like eating then.
Okay.
I was thinking back to my patterns of yesterday, and and
Ah,
but I at that moment I didn't feel like
okay. Well, good to notice.
eating. Yes.
The thought, like, I always do it that other
Yeah.
way, might not be true. There it was, like, just keep kind of peaceful. But like yesterday, so seeing, I mean, let's just break it down a little bit and look. What were you noticing before the thought came in about eating? I mean, like, how was it going?
Not, I think that part of my eating is when I see the food there, and
Yeah.
we've had some good food in the house.
Yeah.
And like right now there is a pizza in the freezer that I keep thinking about, that someone stayed with me and left it here. But it's so I'm curious about it because I can't seem to figure out what it is. When I see it, I go for it. Like,
Yeah.
or I
Yeah.
start to think about it. Ooh, that good thing in the refrigerator. And I
Yeah.
can't really think of the thought that got me there.
Yeah. Okay. It's all right. I like noticing we're hooked up to be interested in eating, like, yum, that's really good. And it's funny that it overrides that the pleasure of eating, though, when it starts to override a doneness in the body, then it's painful. It's got like very mixed. It's very mixed. It's not so good, because then after the eating, it's actually quite painful. It doesn't feel so good. And you wonder. And okay, so if you didn't eat, like if you check in with the body and feel that the body doesn't want anything right now, it's the mind that wants something, that remembers how good it is and is interested in pleasure and looking and thinking, and doing what it does. Hey, pizza. Pizza.
Well, and maybe in thinking about it a little more, maybe yesterday when I had the organizer here, she sort of takes things apart and puts them together, and can be stressful. I mean, like we go through everything. Do you want this? Do you don't want this? Throw this away. And so that can create stress in me.
Yeah.
That going through that process of pulling everything out and looking at it. And so, but what was the question you asked me again about what?
Kind of what's happening when you notice, and if you didn't, like, even if you remember the food's there and there's all that food, just noticing that the mind tends to do that, like be aware of where food is that's around. I mean, sure, like you see food, and I mean, it's kind of like, wow, look at all that food. I mean, animal food.
Well, and I have a habit of reading or doing something else while I eat. So it's that I don't even know talking about, what number I feel satiated. I don't even, I mean, I'm already eaten. I'm not even aware of being hungry. And also, like, there was some cake there that my husband made with my grandson, and I wanted to give it to them to take home so it wasn't in the house. And he said, no, I want some cake. So what happens is I ate almost all the cake. And he said, oh, you gave the cake to the boys. And I didn't. I ate it. And I was going to, just say, yeah. And then I went, no, actually, I ate most of it. I'm sorry. But it's that then the guilt comes in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think it's like, I mean, just simply noticing that there's something that's so compelling about the movement towards the food, just movement. There it is. I see it. I see food, that joke about my seafood diet. I see it and I eat it. But that it overrides the experience of what's happening in the body. It's very, very strong. It's like, if I really checked in with my body, and what I hear you say is like, I haven't done that.
Right.
There's something that kind of maybe doesn't want to, doesn't really want to check in with body. You could just see right now, see if you did check in with a body, what feels uncomfortable about that, or what do you not like about it?
Mm. Mm. No, I just get the sense that I'm kind of in my head a lot and not in my body.
Yeah.
And, it's almost like I don't want to check in because then I'll realize I'm full and I won't get to eat. It's that pleasure thing of
Yeah.
distraction or, something to do.
Yes. Which is really, I mean, I find it very powerful to notice. It seems like the mind's thoughts about life itself in some ways, and being, having a body in it, and feelings and food and everything that kind of crosses its path, that the outside world is kind of saying, how did you just put it? That was beautiful. Like, I might notice food's not necessary right now, but I think I need to do something. I need to do something. I don't
It
know if
gives me something to do. It's
it gives me,
pleasurable. I don't have to
yes,
figure it out. It's like, oh,
yeah, yeah,
I can shut down everything else.
yeah, yes. Helpful to see the little clue that came right there. I can shut down everything else, all the other stuff, not, or some of the stuff that the mind is thinking about, not so pleasurable. I like the pleasurable stuff, which of course we do. I like the pleasurable stuff. But I'm in favor of the pleasurable stuff, and I'm against that other stuff. So you just see that other stuff that I want to shut down. You see the other stuff that you feel like you want to shut down.
Yeah. And I was thinking about that before our call too. And I'm not aware of it all the time, but it does hit me deeply when I let myself think about it. And that is that I wasn't a good enough mother for my sons, because they are, wonderful in their own way, but they didn't go to college and they don't have careers that a mother would be proud of.
Wow. Yeah.
And they have their own hang-ups and things, but I really, I wonder, and I have friends whose kids are really successful and making great changes in the world, and so I think, what did I do wrong? And that hits me deep. It's not something I think about all the time because I try and avoid it, but when I do, it's like a knife.
Yeah. Sometimes is that kind of danger, and we don't, if I don't reach for the pleasure, whatever it is, in this case, food, cake, if I don't do that, I won't like what rises, these underlying things of like, not good enough. I'm just not good enough. Sometimes it's not even just in that way that you mentioned, like with the kids, but in other, it can find anything. It's kind of like a not good enough, not doing it right.
Yeah, that's been a theme with me.
Yeah. No, I totally get it. I can relate. Just notice. So, well, maybe we'll just go there, at least on this one piece, and then kind of open it up to, like, I was thinking about your sons not having a really good career that's changing things and doing, you notice the comparison because you have somebody else who you've seen their kids and what they're doing.
Right.
That's better.
Yes.
It's better than this, than these, okay. So I love that life just hands you so much to compare with, it's like, here's what's better and here's what's worse and but there it is. Okay. So that's better over there than this over here. that my kids that I've been the mother to, they're doing a better career over there than my kids. So I haven't been good enough. Their career isn't good enough. Is it true? Is that the truth?
No.
How'd you find your no there?
Well, they're different. So I was kind of comparing one son against the other. Maybe it's more yes for one and no for the other. But yeah, I mean, if I ask them if they feel like a failure with their career, one of them who's a real free spirit would say, no, I'm doing just exactly what I want to do. And the other one would probably say, oh, it's all right. You know, I mean, I'm not satisfied with it, but it's okay. You know? So they wouldn't agree with that.
Good. Okay. Just good to notice. All right. I also like seeing, what happens when you think the thought, because it's stressful. What happens when you think the thought, wow, over there, whew, not over here, that I'm connected to. What happens when you think that this isn't good enough?
Yeah, I feel really sad, and it makes me want to cry because it's like I have something missing in me that didn't provide that learning. They're missing something because I didn't teach it to them. So I'm like taking total responsibility for it, which I mean, you know, they're in their late 30s and 40s. So I never thought it was my parents' fault if I wasn't fulfilled in my career, but for some reason I take that on as mine.
Yeah. I'm just seeing how painful it is. Yeah, very kind of heartbreaking grief.
Mm.
Should have done it differently. And it reviews, what images come from the past of seeing you do whatever you did.
Yeah, and you know, especially when my older son was young, I really, really believed that I wasn't good enough, even, you know, much more than I do now. I mean, I've grown since then, but I mean, a lot of the decisions that I made were wanting him to be okay. My younger son who has ADHD and was always running around like crazy, he used to be put out in the hallway in his Montessori class. And I promised him Hostess cupcakes if he'd behave. I mean, he was just being a kid, you know? So I was putting my beliefs of not good enough on them.
Oh, yeah. And just see who you'd be if that was okay, doing the best you can. Doesn't mean you weren't good enough. Like, who would you really be if you weren't able to think that was the not good enough way?
Well, you know, if I thought that I was thinking of if someone else did that, I would just think, well, that's kind of interesting, you know, kind of amusing even that they would do
Yeah.
those things. Yeah, so if I didn't, ask me the question again.
Yeah. Who would you be?
Who would I
What,
be?
without the thought that was a not good enough experience, that was me not being good enough. It just isn't good enough.
Yeah, I would just be experiencing life. I would just be trying different things, and some of them maybe worked and some didn't. And I was, I was becoming myself. You know, I was learning to become myself.
Yeah. And don't you love that when you even see, I mean, I know the love, maybe not, but you see that thing of, I'll give him Hostess cupcakes. I did that. And it's just what you knew, like it just popped out. You weren't really the one deciding to think that. It's sort of your experience. You'd probably received that kind of thing yourself. I remember, just kind of how we all are, what we do. what human beings do, what minds do, how they think. Yeah, without the thought. And just bring it even to this moment here. Who would you be without the thought? Something not good enough has happened. Something not good enough is happening in any moment, just the space. I should be doing something. Who would you be without the thought as you sit and there's cake over there? Something not good enough is happening here.
Oh, and I want that cake when I think that something not good enough is happening here, because it's sweet and it's, it takes my mind off that. Yeah.
Isn't it something to see, like, that would be better? I mean, it just is really sure it would be better. And it's, eating it or not eating it. I mean, it's an experience, but it would be better. And it never is really quite better.
Yeah.
I mean, good to notice. It's temporarily,
Yeah.
all of these things they're pleasurable. There's so many things that are pleasurable that people can do to take themselves out of the moment.
Yeah.
I've done a whole lot of them, even though food and eating just seem to be the number one. They're the most repetitive.
One of the first memories I have about eating to, as pleasure is when I was like probably 8 years old. I would go to the store and get Hostess snowballs and read a comic book in my bunk bed and escape from the drama in my home. That was like a place that I went to feel better and maybe a pattern.
Oh, yeah. Just seeing something felt really sweet, literally, about that. Giving the mind a story. Like having the experience of actual sweetness, as we call sweetness.
And reading like Archie comics and all that. It's colorful and it's another world. And
yeah. Right. Isn't that funny? Yeah. I remember the comics too. They are so just the colors.
Yeah.
And the scene.
And now, when I think about it now, it actually seems sweet. It doesn't seem like, oh, there's a first sign that I was going to be an overeater. It feels like I found a way to make myself feel better and escape, and it was sweet,
Yeah. And wouldn't it be like, if you bring a bit of compassion or a lot to that experience of just, families and adults being upset, troubled, and children and doing what they do. And if there's nothing, it's strange to think, who am I without believing my thoughts about it, the not enoughness of it. Wow, like even looking at those kind of moments without wearing the glasses of not enough.
I'd say that little girl was very creative in finding a way to feel to escape for a minute from all that was going on, and it was a coping mechanism that worked at that point, and and if I didn't, that it feels good to think about that, to not whatever it's so funny when you ask a question, I get into processing and then I totally forget what the question was, but it feels good. It feels free to not feel good, to feel not, to not say that's an example of me not feeling good enough.
Right.
I'm just finding my way in the world.
Kind of love that you're like, I don't remember the question. I don't really know, whatever. And maybe that's like more, I mean, without mind thinking, thinking. And even if it's okay that it's doing that, thinking, incredible. It just comes out of nowhere that you can remember an image from 8 years old.
Yeah.
Like it just, boom, here it goes. And anyway, like it's just incredible how the mind works, and we're not in charge of it. I don't have to, if I don't have to shut that thing down, let it be a little thinking machine with memories and all of it, and kind of just feeling. And who am I without the belief? Because I love noticing no matter what I've ever eaten or what I've ever thought or not thought, what is here? Because thinking comes and goes. And there was eating happening when I was little, and then there was eating happening again the other day. And but the coming and going of it, just feeling the something holding you or supporting you, like this life force that is here. Sometimes, if nothing else, you can get, yeah, there's a thread of a life force that is still here. It just keeps going. And I don't know what happens when the body dies. You know, we're so curious about it, but we're not here forever. You know, there'll be an end at some point to this. And maybe not, maybe it'll be like nothing. You know, sometimes they say that. Like, oh,
Yeah.
that was death. Huh. Geez, that's nothing. So nervous about that. That's crazy. So
And when I think, who am I without that thought that I'm not good enough? I go back to that moment when I felt good this morning, you know, just woke up and felt good. And it's just that I just become a person in life and finding my way and trying this and trying that. And just it feels peaceful.
yeah, so kind of precious to feel that, really feel it, you know, and just the awareness of without the belief, without believing, because sometimes the mind can be chattering away, talking about it, but I don't have to believe. I don't have to grab it, you know, and feel like it's true. And noticing, I think it's wonderful to notice if eating happens, it always ends. And there's been all these little light bulbs of that. I've been aware of like how things are okay, and then they're okay, and then they're okay all through life. Okay, so not good enough. Let's turn it around. Good enough.
I am good enough. Because I've been very creative in finding things that make me feel better. and I've you know, and as a parent, even I have people tell me that my kids are wonderful. You know, my boys are wonderful, and that, you know, some of the things that we did must, because they're both very kind and loving, and they're both really good fathers, and that's so important. I mean, that's much more important probably than a career, is being a really good dad, you know. And
Yeah, that's
yeah,
amazing.
and I am enough because I've accomplished, oh, I hate to look at accomplishments, but I am enough because I'm happy in my home. We've created a beautiful, peaceful home that is organized. Even though my husband and I aren't organized, we've managed to come to a place of order in our lives, and it feels good at this point. And we live in beauty. We're on the river, you know, and it's just, look out the window and see the river, and it's you know, beautiful.
Wow. Yeah. Good enough for the moment to be noticing the river, you know,
Mm.
just enough. Enough. I'm good enough mother. I value just watching the, and the jobs that my kids have are parenting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And that's
that's
good.
true. That is true.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
probably more important to them, actually,
Yeah.
than a
Isn't that
career.
sweet? Yeah. Which isn't that amazing, you know? That's sweet. Speaking of sweetness.
Yeah,
I was
it
just seeing
is.
too where the, where's the value of, I mean, I hold that value. Like I like looking at that. I hear you, noticing that and saying, oh, that's so, I love that. I just love it. Look at them go. Look at them do
Mm,
that.
mm,
Yeah. Good that they don't have a career that doesn't give them time for that or takes, whatever. It's just like the perfect career. Whatever they're doing
yeah.
is perfect to give them time to be dads.
Wow, wow. That's so true. That is
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
Yeah. It's nice that life is, letting that happen. Hmm.
And that's not the kind of thing that parents brag about their kids. It's like where they went to Ivy League school, or how much money they're making, or what the great career they have. But it's the kind of thing you don't talk about much. Wow, they're really great dads, and
Yeah.
that to me is more important, really.
Isn't that nice to see? I mean,
Mhm.
actually, like, oh, now that I think about it,
Yeah.
don't I want, I thought that too about like one of mine that I'm not working for a while, and I'm thinking, wow, well, what would I want? Like them to be, miserable in where they were. Good. I love that they did it as long and then stopped, then quit. I
Yeah.
mean, that's really awesome. It's a learning. It's just such a not living in danger, at least for that one.
Mm.
Just noticing it's safe and it's okay and everybody's learning. So I loved hearing the little piece that said, I'm good enough. I've learned a lot of things that help me feel better. And to pause, like just in that thing of noticing, and mind comes up with a lot of ideas about what feels better, and it's wonderful. It's such a servant. Like, how about this? How about this, honey? How about this? And we can sit with, who would I be without the thought when I don't feel very good,
Uh,
that I should be different?
uh,
That's not good enough.
yeah. Yeah.
It's raining here inside at the moment, or whatever, foggy.
Mm.
Like, can I just be with that?
Wow. That I hadn't even thought of that. And that's because I can survive that. Maybe when I was a child, I felt like I couldn't survive facing what was going on, but I can now because I'm, older and I understand things. And feeling bad doesn't mean I'm going to fall into a depression forever, or just letting the waves come and go. Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah. Sometimes there is. So, I mean, I would notice that kind of so much thinking getting stirred up about eating or not eating and eating and not eating and kind of the badness of not eating and the badness of eating. And so there's kind of no option that's really just peaceful, it
Mm,
seems. And so fun to find freedom for me is about being free to eat or not eat. Not like I'm in prison one way or the other, like I have to. There's a should or shouldn't.
yeah, and I realize that I equate when I feel good, it means I am good and I'm enough. And if I feel down or critical, then I'm not good. So, in reality, I know that we go in and out of those things, and I don't have to block the down times out. You can just breathe through them.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, those down times, like, so maybe a little taste of that was there just the other day with a lot of activity and things getting thrown, somebody's there and, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just the mind is saying whatever it's saying. Like, I'll get free time later, or this is okay to get through this because later on it'll be good, or I wanted this, you know, or something,
Yeah.
whatever it says, all that stuff. And just seeing who would I be without the thought that something's required here. It needs to be sweetened up,
Mhm.
it doesn't mean it's wrong to have the thought it should be sweetened up. It's just letting yourself have the noticing, is there something else here besides just thought yelling at me?
Mhm. Mhm.
Who would I be? What would that be like if I let it be not ideal or something, as the mind says? It's just not ideal in the moment. There's a lot of activity here. There's busyness.
And I think one of the things that I've always wanted to be is authentic, and I admire authentic people, and it seems like a lot of times I'm trying to be different than who I am to be accepted. And so if I accept my ups and downs and without sweetening them up or whatever, just be where I am, it's authentic. That's what, that's what authenticity is, right?
Right. Isn't it nice? It's even such a relief to be a human being with all the range of feelings that human beings have.
Yeah. I know one of the things we did in one of the ethics classes was about, is it okay to be sad or be still or something? And
Yeah.
it's like that. It's because putting something sweet in my mouth may sweeten up that moment, but it certainly doesn't change the
Right.
sadness.
Sadness is still there.
Yeah.
That's important. I just found that so powerful to notice. There it is. So this can be kind of an exercise you can sit with, like, and what am I sad about? What is the mind saying is sad?
Mm.
What's it talking about? Like, what is sad? Or just see what comes to you in mind about what do you feel sad about?
Yeah. Right. Are you asking me that right now, or that's something for me to
Sure.
do?
Look at it right now.
I guess then it goes back to, it's sad that I can't stop eating. That's a
Yeah.
vicious circle. Then I eat because I feel sad. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Then I get more sad because I'm eating. Yeah.
yeah. It's sad that I feel like I'm trapped in that cycle of
Yeah.
eating
Yeah.
when I'm not hungry.
Yeah. So if you just, let all that be there, like, this is so sad. And like you see the images, you're eating when not hungry, all the times of doing that, and it's okay. Who would I be without the story? I'm trapped. This means I can't stop. I'm trapped. And if you just let it be there, kind of a sadness about trying and eating and not eating and eating and not eating, continuing to eat, and I just feel sad. Let it be there without the thought I'm trapped.
I think that the sadness too is that I've spent so many years trying to be good enough. And if that's not true, I mean, if I don't have that thought, I'm really just free and free to experience any emotion. Just not trapped, but free to breathe. It feels good.
Sometimes it does, it feels like trapped in the mind that's talking and the feelings that follow the mind and the, busy and the loudness of it and repetitiveness and so what all, and just without the, without the belief. Good.
Just getting a glimpse of that feels really freeing.
Awesome.
Just getting, the smallest little thought that, or feeling that, gee, that could be possible. Feels really good.
Yeah. I like, and it feels exciting. Like we like feeling good.
Yes.
It's like, oh, yeah. So I'm not trapped. I'm not trapped forever and forever eating. How could that be true? Genuine example, no guessing, like, well, maybe, Actually, I'm actually not trapped. How is that true? Even though I've got a lot of evidence, I'm looking at the proof of trappedness. How is it true I'm not?
Well, because I get to choose in every moment. And with the shifts that I'm making, I can make a new thought, a thought of freedom and kindness. And I'm not, nobody has me chained to the food. I mean, I'm a free being. I can make my own, I'm allowed to make my own choices. I'm an adult. I don't have to eat what someone else says I should, or even what I want. But yeah, that sense of freedom really is quickening. I just keep saying I can breathe. It feels like I can breathe. I'm not trapped, and I can breathe and stop and make a choice.
What is kind of amazing to me, this helped me too, is to see stopping happens without me, like enforcing it. Like the mind is yelling, I've got to figure out how to stop. But stopping actually happens. And I know sometimes it happens because it's so painful. I've eaten so much that I'm, but it's nice to see there's something here that does actually stop. And like there's movement, that something happens next, and then we go to sleep. Like the brain actually stops and you shut down. Everybody sleeps, and then you wake up again and different things go on, and like life moves by. It's just I missed all the times. There's so many minutes of stopping. The mind was very focused, spotlighted on all the eating that was happening and how bad it was, and wrong, and barely looking at anything else, which is okay too. Like it was just doing what minds do, like doing its job, to not look at other sadness or anything else, or feeling so lost in my life.
Yeah, I feel that. And even when you said, I think one time you said you were talking about even when you eat so much that you're stuffed and you have to stop, your body does go back to feeling, it processes that food. You don't always feel that awful.
It starts working on it. Yeah. It's immediately goes to work on it.
Yeah. That helped me to realize that.
Yeah. I mean, I love that. If just wait. Long ago, a friend of mine who is also quite the binge eater, and but looking and wanting to find the freedom there too. And I remember she said I had binged eaten the day before, and she was like, just think, in 24 hours you feel so much better. I was like, oh, right. Like I gotta figure this whole thing out and make this over in my life. And it was so true. You just wait 24 hours and you're in a completely different place. The body it just is going to work on it.
Yeah.
Just takes care of it. And you can catch all the stress that happens about I'm trapped. So I move towards the food. I'm trapped in sadness and I got to get out of it. I'm trapped in disappointment or whatever, my emotional, whatever's here, sadness, let's say. I'm not trapped. Even that changes. Like if you cried, if you've ever had a good cry, like you actually, something, the gateway opens up and you're just like so sad and you might cry and sob or like something happy, you shake. It almost feels good. Like it, the mind might be going like, oh my God, somebody's going to see you, or, whatever it's saying, but it's still, and it comes to an end. You don't keep crying.
Right. And it does feel good.
Yeah. It's like a little, there's like a light shining inside. That's what it feels like to me. And in your throat and in everything, it's just, kind of moving through and it ends. You take a deep breath like little kids do. And anyway, it's just an experience. I love, you're not trapped. It often thinks you're going to be trapped everywhere. Mind comes up with that idea.
Yeah, that even the crying, that you'll not be able to stop.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. If I don't go do this eating thing or whatever it is that I do, something, cleaning and smoking, buying something, fixing something, having a project, doing the next step of the project, I can relate to all these things. If I don't do that and I'm just stay here, I will be trapped in this empty space.
Oh, that feels scary. That hit a nerve.
Yeah.
Trapped in this empty space. Yeah.
Yes. There's just emptiness.
Yeah.
That is the amazing thing to look at. Just the sense of what I avoid. And it's okay that your mind has done that, because we often want to turn away from that. Just that emptiness, and to feel it and see it might not be as empty as we think. I certainly found that to be the case. Yeah. Life is empty without, you've got your list and all the thoughts.
Food is the first one that popped up.
Yes, there you go.
It's one way to fill the emptiness, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
Doesn't really.
So that emptiness, I think that's the great place to go and take this, just be with it, like noticing, I'm so sure about this emptiness. That really, the void, the unknown, the don't know, but the mysterious mystery, just the empty space, the quiet, not doing, because makes you kind of gasp.
And if I'm used to trying to control everything, emptiness is not going to be a place that's comfortable, because there's no control in that.
And it seems very infinite.
Yeah.
And I just love noticing it's like the mind going, I don't like it. I don't like it. Get out of here. Like if you went to a party and you opened a room and it was just like the most gigantic warehouse you've ever seen, kind of with low lighting and no one's in there. Echoing, no, I don't think I don't like it. Let's go somewhere else. And just to stay a moment. Just willing, open to have something stay there a moment, and okay to see, I don't like it. Is it true? Is it true?
Well, it's sort of like the crying. I don't like it, but but if I experience it, it's okay. if I let myself experience it, but
Might not be absolutely true.
yeah,
Might be its impulse, of the mind to
yeah.
quick, but yeah, might not be absolutely true. Huh. Who would I be without that story? This emptiness, I don't like it.
Mm.
I don't like emptiness. I wonder who I am without that thought.
Mm. The quiet, the emptiness that, yeah, that maybe is sweet, really. Maybe it's, instead of uncomfortable and frightening, maybe it's a place of peace.
I just noticed for me, I never even gave it a chance. It was like,
Yeah.
I hate this. I didn't ask to be born. I don't like to be here. Why am I here? It's dangerous. Like lots of, I don't know, lots of anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In just talking with you today, I feel like I've slowed down everything, and it feels more spacious. And when my mind is going like crazy, there's no space, to notice anything. So,
Yeah. Like
so
going on a fast train. I love how you say that. It's like when you can't see the stuff because you're going too
yeah,
fast. You're going
yeah,
so fast.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And it feels good to slow it down.
Yeah. I mean, I just like have fun with that. It's like a little experiment. Like, what if slowing it down, being with that, glimpsing, like just experiencing emptiness as not so dangerous as the mind has been saying it is.
And
Just
the mind tells me that I have to be productive, and that doesn't feel productive. So, so allowing myself to feel, to let go of that belief that I have to be productive all the time doing something.
yeah, I can relate to that one. Yeah. Wow, I've got some time to do blah, 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 constantly. Yeah. And it's okay. It's mind doing what it does and
Yeah.
feeling limited. We only have so much time, even in this world. You might only have X amount of time left. So let's go. Come on, come on, come on, come on.
Mm.
I know, like, wow. Okay. Underneath. Yeah. Who would I be without my story? What if the emptiness is safer? Just safe, it's okay. This emptiness is okay. That's a nice living turnaround to just practice. Like, love that you said the word spacious.
Mm.
Spacious. Nothing required. How incredible. What if nothing is required?
Mm. Yeah, that is always something that, when I get to that point where it says, what if there's nothing that you need to do? It's like, just, oh, really? I mean, that can't be, but I keep coming back to that.
Yes. What's nice is look at that. It keeps coming back to that too. You thought it was only coming back to eating some more.
Mm.
Oh, look at that. It's also interested in coming back to,
Yeah.
what if nothing, I don't need to do anything at the moment.
Yeah.
And I get, what if it just rises up, like whatever needs to be done, the doing happens here. Like the way, when you need to go to the bathroom, just like you've got time that you can kind of wait. And then there's a point when that's what we're doing now. Sometimes it's critical. You got to do it. And sometimes not. But there's no like should or shouldn't necessarily about that. I'm thirsty. There's a lot of time that can pass before we get the glass of water.
Mm.
Anyway, it's just fun to play with. Emptiness is okay, and part of my mind is interested.
Yeah. Yeah.
Keeps coming back to that, so it's
Yeah.
not all is
And
not
I'm finding that idea coming to me from different places. Like, what if you don't need to do anything? So like you said, the eating isn't happening all the time, and that's happening some of the time, you know? So,
Right. Yeah. Yeah, you feel that crushing feeling when the mind is saying like, this has just never gone away. It's been here for so
yeah.
many, blah, 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 da, da, da,
Yeah.
and it'd be, and there's all those moments that it misses that it was gone away. And you have been eager to, like, you have been very curious about what the mystery of life, and you've loved that. It's, it's just been kind of a wonder. Yeah. So that's fun. Well, we'll get to see what happens with that exploring emptiness thing.
And it feels really good. I feel a shift. And it really redefining my son's lives has helped too.
Nice to take, whatever doorway seems like really right here, and walk. Yeah, do it with those other people and whatever. Yeah, parenting so strong. So I love that you did that. Yeah.
Well,
Beautiful.
thank you, Grace.
Oh my
Thank you so
gosh.
much. It's been
You're so
wonderful.
welcome.
And enjoy Esalen. Oh my goodness, a week of silence. How exciting. A week of emptiness.
A week of emptiness. I have no idea what's going to happen. And I have a sense like you go to this, there's emptiness and there's that beautiful silence, and it's actually so rich. And then there's going to be all this stuff that I've never seen before.
Yeah, and the beauty of Esalen. Oh my.
Have you been there?
I've been to that area. I've always wanted to go to Esalen and haven't,
Yeah.
but I've been to Big Sur and all around there.
Yeah.
It's just breathtaking and beautiful.
Yeah, I know it'll be wonderful to take in. So I know. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, much love. I appreciate it.
I do too. Okay. Bye-bye.
Awesome. Bye.